All right, okay. Timmy's trying to master the art of the iPhone. Okay, so the way, and I'll do it, so the way that I look at, because I did a whole bunch of other martial arts before Jiu-Jitsu, when I came in, within 3 months, the coach got me teaching the beginner people, because we had a lot of people coming in all of a sudden. We had a small gym, but this is back 97, so Jiu-Jitsu was very new, and gym grew really fast. Like, we only had one coach really. Because I coached a lot of other martial arts before, then he asked me to coach. So I already had a whole bunch of experience and ways of thinking about other arts, and in particular like boxing, for example. So, and sword play and Aikido and a lot of other ones. They always talk about like these 8 angles, and quite often they'll have tape on the floor with these for footwork and stuff like that, right? So you can see what you're doing. And so I see Jiu-Jitsu in a similar way, is that if I'm on my back here like this, then I'm looking at a circle this way and a circle that goes this way. So one vertical and one horizontal here like that. So I've got these 2 planes that I'm dealing with. So here, for example, I can choke. Out here, 15 degrees, I've got arm bars, then I've got Kimura, then I'll have something else, and then you might turn over into a knee bar. And then when it comes to your sweeps, like flower sweep, for example, is like right in the middle. Scissor sweep is over a bit. And so within all of this is most of your guard work. Then when I'm looking at the circle that goes around me, then I'm going from like closed guard to like maybe a knee shield, yeah? And then you've got like quarter guard, or Z guard, or whatever they call it now. And then if that messes up, you're in half guard. So all of that's kind of happening in the first like 20 or 30 degrees. And then at 90 degrees, typically you have side control where the person's holding me and I'm trying to escape. So, but there's a gap there that I call side control defense. Yeah, right? Because a lot of the time you learn how to like do Kimuras and do these different things and recover your guard, and then you've got escape side control and put them back in your guard again, but there's 20 degrees or more in the middle there that I call side control defense to prevent the person from getting side control. That not a lot of people, I mean, they might look into it, they might teach it, but that's the way that I've always looked at it. As the person comes around this circle, then what I do should change. Yeah. Similarly, like on a computer, right? You run your cursor along the different tabs at the top, and you get drop-down menus as things move. It's exactly the same thing, but it's happening this way and it's happening that way. Yeah. So it might help some people to draw that circle, yeah, and then write down like close. You know, this choke might be here, and this choke might be here, and then you've got an arm bar, and so that they can see or decide in their head like what's appropriate. Like I'm not trying to do a cross-collar choke when the person's passing the gate, right? So it might help beginners because beginners are like that, right? So then cross-collar choke is here and everywhere until they get their guard passed. You know, or they're trying to do an arm bar here instead of over there, which is really the angle for it. And they're trying to do an arm bar all the way around until they get their guard passed. Yeah. At some point, when this one here fails, then you're starting to pay a lot of attention to this circle. And the two kind of overlap a little bit, yeah? So that's kind of the way that I look at what to do, yeah? It depends on what angle I'm at. And the person's response, like my reaction to their change in angle, I should change. And beginners don't change their grips a lot, or enough, yeah? And a lot of people do a lot of forearm conditioning because they're over gripping because they haven't changed their grips. They've got the same grip all the way through. So of course you have to have mega strong forearms because you're not, it's like trying to climb a rock wall, but you're only holding on to 2 grips and you've got like double dyno to the next one instead of using your legs and having things organized. And it's the same thing when someone's trying to pass your guard. Your grip should be changing as per every 15 degrees or whatever it is. Yeah, and just being able to organize that for yourself in terms of what you do around that circle. And maybe, like guys, I'm pretty visual, so I would draw on a piece of paper. Yeah, when I first started, I was doing security work all night. No one would turn up for the first 2 hours, so I would write down everything that I knew about jiu-jitsu. I go, okay, throws, and I would write down all the throws, and then I'd write down all the steps for the throws. And then I'd go to mount. I'm like, okay, mount. What do I know about escaping mount? What's the name of it? What are the steps? And I would just write it down every single night, and it would take a couple of hours, then people start turning up, I'd screw it up, throw out the rubbish, do it again the next night. Yeah. And so, and then eventually Alison Grace, I had a giant folder. Eventually I started keeping everything, and I had it all in a big ring-bound folder I'd take all around the world with me and make notes. And then Alison Gracie got it and just threw it in the rubbish bin. He's like, if you put it in there, it's not going to go in your head. And if it hasn't gone in your head, you're not ready for it. And I'm like 7 years worth of training just went into the bin. Yeah. And Hoyle was similar. I had, first private with Hoyle, I had, I don't know, 3 or 4 pages, both side A4 with questions on, because, you know, I knew I was going to Rio like 10 months in advance, so I wrote down all these questions I had, and then he just goes, screws it up, throws it in the corner, and he goes, let's roll. But they're right, they know what they're talking about. Anyway, you can do these solo drills and practice them with each other. Cheers, guys.